Students, in today's English lecture, we are going to discuss the first poem from our textbook Hornbill. The title of the poem is A Photograph, written by Shirley Toulson. This poem, A Photograph, is a very good example of nostalgia. Shirley Toulson, she has lost her mother, and everything that reminds her of her mother makes her nostalgic. A Photograph is actually a poem in which Shirley Toulson remembers her mother because she comes across a photograph of her mother. Nostalgia is revisiting your past, revisiting the good days of your past, the happy moments of your past. Usually, when you're alone, when you're missing someone, at that time you feel nostalgic. In this poem, Shirley Toulson has described how she misses her mother and how she's trying to cope up with the pain of losing her mother. First, we're going to do the reading of the stanzas and then we'll go for line by line explanation. So let us start. A Photograph. The cardboard shows me how it was when the two girl cousins went paddling, each one holding one of my mother's hands, and she, the big girl, some 12 years or so. All three stood still to smile through their hair at the uncle with the camera, a sweet face, my mother's. That was before I was born. And the sea, which appears to have changed less, washed their terribly transient feet. In the first stanza, the poet, she is describing the photograph. The cardboard shows me how it was. Here, cardboard represents the photograph. See, earlier, before the advent of digital photography and all, people used to stick photographs on thick pieces of cardboard so that they would stay longer. Fine. So she comes across the picture of her mother, and this picture has been stuck on the cardboard. So she says, the cardboard shows me how it was. Now she describes the picture. When the two girl cousins went paddling, each one holding one of my mother's hands. Here, the poet is saying that in the picture she could see three young girls. And one of those young girls was her mother. Her mother was accompanied by her two girl cousins, and all of them had gone for paddling. They had gone for a beach holiday and they were having some fun games at the beach. They had gone for paddling, that is, rowing a very small boat which can hold only one person. Each one holding one of my mother's hands, and she, the big girl, some 12 years or so. So, in the picture, she could see her mother standing right in the center. Both her cousins were standing on either sides of the mother. The mother was the big girl. She was elder to her cousins. She was 12 years or so. Now, 12 years is not a very old age. But as the poet is talking about her mother, she says that she was older than the rest of the two cousins. She was only 12 years old. So she was standing in the center. All the three stood still to smile through their hair at the uncle with the camera. Their uncle had brought a camera and he was taking the photograph. The girls were trying to stay still and they were trying to smile through their hair. Now, beaches are very windy places. So their hair must have been flowing around their face, and somehow they were trying to smile through all of this for the camera. A sweet face. The poet observes her mother's face, and she says that it's a very sweet face, her mother's face, and this was the mother's face before the poet was born, when her mother was only 12 years old. And the sea, which appears to have changed less. She looks at the background. In the background, she can see the sea. This sea has changed very less. And the sea water was washing the terribly transient feet of the mother. Transient here means temporary. Human beings have their own lifespans. Like we are here for a limited time on earth. But the seas, the mountains, the rivers, they are going to be here for several hundreds of years. Eternity, of course. So, she's saying that the sea has not changed very much, but the mother and the two cousins that were there in the picture, they have changed very much, and the seawater is washing their terribly transient feet, their temporary feet. Okay, the seawater is washing. Para 2, stanza 2. Some 20, 30 years later, she would laugh at the snapshot. See Betty and Dolly, she would say, and look how they dressed us for the beach. The sea holiday was her past, mine is her laughter, both wry with the labored ease of loss. So, the poet Shirley Toulson is saying that some 20, 30 years later, that is after the beach holiday, she would laugh at this snapshot. Okay, the poet and her mother would together go through this photo sometimes, and the mother would point out to the poet that, see, those are your aunties. See Betty and Dolly. Look how they dressed us up for the beach. The mother would laugh and she would make fun of her beach clothing. See, with the passage of time, the fashion also changes. Obviously, this was 20, 30 years old photograph. So, the beach clothes that they were wearing were very much outdated. So, the mother and the daughter, they would have a hearty laugh after looking at the picture. The sea holiday was the past of the mother, but the laughter of the mother was a thing of the past for the poet, because her mother was no more. Her mother had passed away. Both ripe with the labored ease of loss. She was very much sad, she was very much upset, and she was actually tired, okay, with the labored ease of loss. Both of them, okay, that is the mother, she was trying to work her way through the good moments of her past, okay, and here the poet, she was also laboring through the hard pain, the heartbreak, okay, that she had suffered on the death of her mother. Now she's been dead nearly as many years as that girl lived. The girl in the picture, that is her mother, was around 12 years old. So here the poet is suggesting that almost 12 years have passed since her mother's death. And of this circumstance, there is nothing to say at all. It's silence, silences. The poet says that the death of her mother is such a big, such a drastic event in her life that there's nothing left to say about this at all. The silence of this situation, okay, the sadness of it silences everything else. Okay, nothing can come into comparison with the pain and grief that she faced on losing her mother. Okay. So that is the summary of the poem, A Photograph by Shirley Toulson. Thank you, students.